All right, next matchup, little Sunday action. I'm talking about the Broncos taking on the Jaguars, 9:30 Sunday morning start time across the pond. Jacksonville's -2.5, totals 39. Now, the Jags clearly have the better offense on the field on Sunday. They're actually in the top 10 in total yards per game. And they're doing a real nice job running the football. Meanwhile, defensively on the other side of the ball, Foy Oluokun and Devin Lloyd, they've combined for over 130 tackles already. Now they're going up against a Bronco offense who scores fewer points a game than any other club in the league. And out of 3 contests away from Denver this year, the Broncos took the loss in all of them. Now injury-wise, Wilson, Joel, Basie, and Stearns, they're all listed as questionable. Browning and Fleming are out. Meanwhile, for Jacksonville on the other side, Griffin and Agnew are questionable for them. Now, weather-wise, going to be a cloudy, dreary, and possibly rainy day on Sunday at Wembley Stadium. Once again, when I say across the pond, I'm talking about London, the United Kingdom. So anyway, yeah, that's why that game's so early if you didn't already know. But anyway, total-wise, Denver saw their last 3 straight stay under the number. 6-1 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Jacksonville saw unders against the likes of the Giants, Texans, and Colts. I'm going to lean toward Jacksonville -2.5, under 39. Next ball game, Bears, Cowboys, 1 o'clock Eastern start time. Dallas is -9.5, totals 42 and a hook. And for a team who's favored by nearly double digits, the Cowboys have had a tough time moving the chains. They're in the bottom 5 in total yards per contest, and they've been little threat throwing the football. They're facing a Chicago team who specializes in shutting down the pass. They're in the top 3 in fewest yards allowed through the air. Roquan Smith's also leading the D with 78 tackles, along with a couple of picks. When it comes to offensive production in this one, nobody's running the ball for more yards a game than the Bears right now. When it comes to the injury report, Chicago is mostly healthy for the most part, for the exception of Lucas Patrick. Meanwhile, for Dallas on the other side, Zeke, Schultz, and Farniok, they're all listed as questionable for them. Now, total-wise, Dallas is 6-1 to the under for the year. Meanwhile, Chicago saw 4 out of their last 7 stay under the line. I'm expecting a very physical football game. Should see a lot of hard hitting. I'm going to lean towards Chicago +9.5. Under 42 and a hook. Next game, Raiders, Saints, 1 o'clock East. Las Vegas is -2 on the road, totals 49. And even though the Raiders are favored away from home in this spot here, they're still in search of their first road win of the year. They also have a defense that just gives up way too many points. These guys are actually in the bottom 10 in the league in passing yards allowed per game. Now they're facing a Saints team on the other side of things who has little issue moving the football themselves. As a matter of fact, New Orleans is currently in the top 3 in total yards per game. When it comes to running the football, they're gaining nearly 5.5 yards per play on the ground. Now, injury-wise, Landry, Thomas, Pete, Lattimore, and Turner are questionable. Meanwhile, for Las Vegas, Waller, Farley, and Brown are questionable for them. When it comes to the total, the Raiders saw their last 4 straight get over the number. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Saints saw 5 out of their last 7 get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward New Orleans +2 over 49. Next ball game, it is going to be Panthers at the Falcons, 1 o'clock Sunday. Atlanta's -4, totals 41. And even though the Falcons are favored in this spot, they've been no threat to throw the football this year. They're averaging just 151 yards a game through the air. Meanwhile, defensively on the other side of the ball, they're allowing more yards a game than most teams in the NFL. Now they're taking on a Carolina team on the other side who is coming fresh off a 21-3 dismantling of Tampa Bay this past week. As a matter of fact, the Panthers are currently 2-0 against divisional opponents this year. Now, defensively, Shaq Thompson and Xavier Woods, they have over 80 tackles between the both of them. And when it comes to the injury report, Ioannidis, Horn, and Hubbard are questionable for Carolina. Meanwhile, for Atlanta, Alford, Terrell, and Bernhardt, they're listed as questionable for them. When it comes to total, 3 out of the Falcons' last 4 did stay under the number. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Carolina's 5-1 to the under in their last 6. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Carolina Panthers +4 under 41. All right, next ball game should be a massacre here. I'm talking about the Steelers at the Eagles, 1 o'clock Eastern start time. Philadelphia's -10.5, totals 43 and a hook. Now, the undefeated Eagles are scoring 27 points a game, and they're in the top 5 in total yards. Meanwhile, defensively, the Birds are allowing only 297 total yards a game. TJ Edwards leads the D with 55 tackles on the season. Meanwhile, CJ Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay, they have 6 total interceptions between the two of them. Now, they're facing a Steeler team on the other side of things who lost 5 out of their last 6. And they're scoring fewer points a game than most clubs in the NFL. They're actually averaging only 15 points per contest. Top of my head, I think it's only the Broncos who are scoring less points than them. Now, defensively, on the other side of the football, Pittsburgh's also in the bottom 5 in total yards allowed. Now, injury-wise, Witherspoon and Sims are questionable for Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, for Philly, Lane Johnson is questionable for them. Now, weather-wise, clear skies and 60 degrees by kickoff. When it comes to the total, 3 out of Philly's last 5 did stay under the line. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh saw their last 3 straight stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Philadelphia, -10.5, under 43 and a hook. Next ball game, it is going to be Dolphins at the Lions, 1 o'clock Sunday. Miami's the 3-point favorite on the road, totals 51 points. Now, the Fins are in the top 3 in the league in passing. I know that seems, improbable, but yeah, they're in the top 3 in passing yards per game. And of course, Tyreek Hill, he's averaging over 110 yards a game receiving. Now, defensively, not many teams in the AFC are defending the run better than Miami. They're facing a Detroit squad who's giving up more points a game than any other team in the NFL. They're also allowing a league-worst 412 total yards a game. Now, injury-wise, Brockers, Harris, Nelson, Swift, Price, and St. Brown, they're all questionable. Meanwhile, for Miami, Ogba, Crossan, Thompson, and Kohu, they're listed as questionable for them. When it comes to the total in this one, Detroit's gone 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Meanwhile, Miami saw overs against the likes of the Jets and Baltimore. I'm going to lean toward Miami -3, over 51. Next game, Patriots at the Jets, 1 o'clock East. New England's the 1.5-point favorite on the road, totals 40. Now, the Pats did lose 3 out of their last 5. They're having a tough time slowing down the run. They're actually in the bottom 10 in the league in rush defense. They're also facing a Jets team who's allowing just 19 points a game, playing some pretty tough defense. C.J. Mosley's got 70 tackles on the year already, along with a couple of TFLs. Meanwhile, teammate LaMarcus Joyner, he leads the defense in interceptions. Now, injury-wise, Davis, Robinson, and Johnson are questionable. Meanwhile, for New England on the other side, Bourne, Uche, and Barmore, they're listed as questionable for them. When it comes to the weather, clear and crisp Sunday with very little wind in the Meadowlands. When it comes to the total, 3 out of New York's last 5 fell under the number. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Patriots saw unders against the likes of Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Miami. I'm going to lean toward the New York Jets, +1.5, under 40. Next, the final matchup for the video, it is going to be Cardinals at the Vikings, 1 o'clock East. Minnesota's the 3.5-point favorite, totals 48. And as good as the Vikes have been here this year, they are having a tough time covering the point spread. They're just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. And they've actually done very little this year to slow down the pass. These guys currently rank in the bottom 5 in the NFL in pass yards allowed per game. Meanwhile, when they have the football, well, they're rushing for just 97 yards a game on the ground, having a tough time establishing the run. Kind of tough to believe, considering the talent they have in the backfield. Now they're facing an Arizona team who actually has one of the best rush defenses in the game. Budda Baker and Zaven Collins have combined for nearly 100 tackles between the two of them. When it comes to covering the point spread, the Cards did cover the number in 3 out of their last 5. Now injury-wise, Prater, Hudson, Connor, Gardick, Williams, Mullen, and Thompson, they're questionable for Arizona. When it comes to the total, Minnesota saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the number. I'm going to lean toward Arizona plus 3.5, over 48. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. I like the over 45 in the Baltimore-Tampa Bay game. Give me Jacksonville minus 2.5, under 39. I like Chicago plus 9.5, under 42 and a hook. New Orleans plus 2, over 49. Carolina plus 4, under 41. Philadelphia minus 10.5, under 43.5. Miami minus 3, over 51. New York Jets plus 1.5, under 40. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we're hitting at 65% in our last 27 NFL tier package bets on my website. I like Arizona plus 3.5, over 48. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Be on the lookout for our part 2 video here coming up in the next couple of hours. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy week 8 to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.